hello. This is the 55th Test from the Future, an experimental podcast from the year 2222, which we are sending from our present to yours. My name is Dirk.
And my name is Simon.
And we're putting the past in podcast. I know we're keep on switching the email bit from at the end of the episode to the front of the episode, back to the end of the episode, kind of how we feel
and
like
not just where we tell people that they should email michael@lasagna5@gmail.com, not just that bit, but the part where we actually also respond to listener emails, you mean?
Yeah, and it sounds like we have that really, really structured and planned, but it's like, oh, we forgot to do the email. But you've nicely...
put it at the start this time.
Yeah, exactly. And then not forget to put the subject number.
Oh, right, if you email us. Yeah, if you email us, please put in for this episode, number 55 in the subject.
Exactly. Not the subject number in the episode, the episode number in the subject.
That makes more sense, yeah.
But I'm talking about it because we have another email. And another email from our dear listener, John van Sint Maartens Vlotbrug, who's been emailing us pretty much every week. His cousin Lambert was missing.
And has returned.
He has returned. He's back.
It's very good news.
So John is happy. And as he's describing, cousin Lambert suddenly reappeared without any memory as to what happened.
I mean, that part's still a bit concerning.
Exactly. And he was in the possession of 2 white metallic eggs, John added.
That's very, very strange.
And it's like that. At least it doesn't mean anything to us.
Nope.
Hopefully it means anything to the people in the past. But at least John is happy. And of course, I'm also happy. We're happy because me and my sister were the only remaining descendants of John in the 23rd century.
Right.
Yeah, so they were the last descendants of his line. So that's why we were worried these past weeks.
Wait, descendants of John or descendants of Lambert?
Of cousin Lambert. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Sorry, good to point it out. That's
but
why
you and your sister are the only.
Yeah, we're the only descendants. So that's why we found that out, and then that's why we were so worried these last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So thanks for telling us, John. And it's a load of or something.
Minds?
Back, mind, heart.
Minds.
Yeah, load of our minds.
Yeah.
Okay, so then it's time to look at our topic for this week. And shall I briefly introduce it?
Yes, please.
It's the Intergalactic Escalator. And a lot of our episodes are about our modern day technology. But most of the time we speak about things like gadgets and so on, things that everybody has, like PAs and Congos and pods and things that everybody has or a lot of people have. The Intergalactic Escalator, there is really only one of it.
And only one of them on Earth, and as far as we know, at least no other planets have them.
Exactly. And the interesting thing is, it's the Intergalactic Escalator. There's only one of it, and it is not intergalactic, actually.
Not really. That name's a bit inflated.
Yeah, exactly. It was supposed to be intergalactic, but it's not.
That was the ambition, yeah. It goes to the edge of Earth's atmosphere, which is pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's
from
still...
the ground, from the Earth's...
surface
all the way up to the edge of the...
I mean, it's still really impressive, but then if they had called it like the interatmospheric escalator or something like that, then...
Or like scrape the sky, something like that.
Exactly, or close something.
Yeah.
Anyway. But then to structure the discussion a little bit, we split up the research. I have researched the escalator's past.
Yep. And I've researched its present.
So we thought that it was a nicer way of structuring the episode a little bit. As we mentioned, it's a massive escalator, and it was first planned in the 80s.
Yeah.
So that's the 80s of the 22nd century.
By the way, the 2180s.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a long time ago, and it was a. It's. I've looked at the pictures from the time when they were in introducing the plans, having press conferences, and the first construction started, and so on.
Promotional videos.
Exactly, and it's interesting to see how fashion changed. I mean, it doesn't matter for the escalator, but it's basically a lot of people are wearing jogging suits. All the people in the press conferences, also the people, the journalists that were listening to it. People on the pictures, they all have mostly light blue, pink jogging suits.
Yeah.
And
like pastel colors.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember those from when I was much younger, but I had almost forgotten about them. But
Sure.
exactly,
It's not something you see people wearing nowadays.
And it's also when you see the promotional videos from the beginning and so on, they were using a lot of retro music.
Which I guess wasn't retro then?
No,
Or
it was.
It was music that was retro.
Yeah,
then?
it's basically from early 21st century, and
okay.
it had basically made a comeback near the end of the 21st century. So
end of the 22nd.
22nd. Yeah,
Made
exactly.
a comeback at the end of the 22nd.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the people were not making a lot of new music at the time. They were basically re-listening to music from almost 100 years
Sure,
ago.
sure. I mean, there was so much.
Yeah.
There is so much. So.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you'd be surprised that there's still new music being made every day.
Yeah.
You would think every single song has been written by now.
There's always a way to spin it a little differently.
Yeah. But in the 80s, it did seem like that. So
Right.
like every single music genre that existed, and within that genre, every single song has been written in any variation possible. So in the 80s, it was all about retro music. So so the plans were from Green Cell and from Soul. So it basically was a combined initiative. Soul, of course, interesting in putting infrastructure in the stratosphere, and Green Cell, of course, trying to put their hold on whichever technology new land there was. And the plan was, of course, to have a massive intergalactic escalator into space, so actually out of the atmosphere, where it would basically be a really easy way to transport to like a space station, from where it would be a lot easier than to
Right, to get into space shuttles.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, this was before it was... now, from episode a few weeks ago, you may have heard, it's really easy for shuttles to come down to Earth's surface and take off again, but back then that was much harder.
You remember the time when they were announcing this, Green Cell and Sol? You remember the big pitch? Like there was almost
a competition, competition. I guess competing bids from different interested parties.
Exactly, because the way they had imagined it, and also the way it partially worked, is the bit that was within the atmosphere needed some massive pillars. So until it reached the atmosphere, and then the theory was from there's no more gravity, so you don't need no more pillars from that point onwards. But of course, the bit that was in the atmosphere needed pillars, and that was basically you needed some territory that had like a very long stretch of land where you could put the pillars on.
Yeah. Stable land, like not swamps or marshes or whatever.
And then those pillars needed to be built. But of course, once it was there, they were expecting it to be a massive tourism magnet, which turned out it was.
Yeah. Right, the pillars, even before we get to the escalator itself, the pillars have become their own attraction. I'm touching a bit on the present, but even back then when it was being built, before the escalator itself was finished, the pillars themselves were a tourist attraction.
It's true, the construction sites. I'm trying to remember now if I visited them when they were building this. Did you?
I did not, no. It's like, I heard about it, read about it, saw photos, but I didn't go to see it in person.
And I think we spoke about, like we mentioned before, like stable ground, long pieces of land, and also it worked if the country added a little bit of money.
Of course.
So then, like if the country said, we will join the funding, maybe we even provide people and robots to assist in the construction.
Yeah, resources.
That also helped. And then it was very prestigious, and then Indonesia got it. And it works nicely because Indonesia is a very big country. And they've basically put a pillar on each of the islands.
Right, because there are pillars, so you don't actually need... The land between the pillars doesn't need to be above water. So the islands worked out well.
And they had the smallest, or like the start of the escalator is in Sumatra, basically all the way in the west. And then they basically distributed the pillars across the islands, with the last pillar being on Bali, basically spanning the whole Indonesian
I don't know how to pronounce it.
Archipel.
Archipelago?
Yeah, exactly. String of islands.
Maybe archipelago.
Archipelago.
I've never... That word.
Yeah, on the islands of Indonesia. And you basically get on at Sumatra, and basically the first, kilometer, there's still shade.
Mm-hmm.
But at one point it's so high up that you don't have a shade anymore.
I know, obviously, no really low down trees, but they're all gone, and no clouds even beyond a certain point.
Yeah. So they were building it there in Indonesia, and then construction was paused several times because Indonesia definitely has a lot of land, definitely pitched in money-wise, resources-wise. They kind of not pay so much attention to a stable surface.
Mm-hmm. They promised that they'd be able to take care of it, and in the end they did. So, but the volcanic activity was a bit of a disruptor early on.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's when you're building a massive infrastructure that goes kilometers high, then like shaking surface doesn't help when making really carefully constructed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, whatever the constructions are called, but it was paused several times. It was delayed several times. It cost a whole lot more money than planned, but like it progressed. So there was actually progress, and they had already started putting the space station together back on Earth, with the idea like the moment we reach the atmosphere, there's going to be a big platform there, and then from there on, it's basically you can just build on top of it, and it's kind of like floating.
Yeah, and even the idea was, the part that's in space, like outside of Earth's gravity, that would like lift up or help support from above the escalator leading up to it.
And the theory was like basically when it leaves the atmosphere, it needs one more massive pillar that kind of goes beyond, where at the end of that they would put then the actual space station, but it didn't work.
Unfortunately not.
No. I mean, it's like the last pillar was going to be on East Timor. They wanted a whole lot more money than originally planned because they had seen what went wrong. And then also when they actually got to the end of the atmosphere, all the theories that they had didn't work out. Sure. Whatever they tried, it just fell down or didn't connect properly or floated away. And at one point they just gave up. They said, this is it. Mm-hmm. Which is how we get to the present.
Mm-hmm. Right. What happened? So they couldn't do what they wanted originally with it. So they did the next best thing. They didn't just tear it down or let it fall into disrepair.
That would have been sad.
Exactly. That would have been a huge waste of time and effort. So instead, it's now, we mentioned earlier how the pillars during construction were a tourist attraction. They lent into that, made the entire thing, the escalator and the platform that they did build at the top, into a huge tourist destination.
Because I think initially it was really supposed to be transport, and just basically when you get to
cargo and
exactly, it's like when you get to a shuttle station, tourists come down to the station to say goodbye or to watch the shuttles disappear, and that was the idea. Like they see people leaving on the escalator to wave them and to look at the escalator and then leave again. But now they're allowed up there, right?
Yeah, right. You need to buy a ticket, of course. It's very popular, but yeah. Regular people can go up to can ride the escalator up to the top, and then once they're at the top, look around. It's an impressive sight, yeah. It's the tallest structure built on Earth. Mm-hmm. The
view is amazing.
Of course, yeah.
It's the closest thing you get to space travel before you actually do space travel, because it feels like it's really space is one step further. One step further. It feels
like if you could just squat down and then jump as high as you could, maybe you'd
lift
take
off.
Yeah,
exactly. But also the view down, of course, is like you see the Earth below.
Yeah, and the platform itself is made of so not glass, but a completely transparent material, so that you can look down and see.
You see the Earth curving.
Yep.
It's like if the weather is nice enough, you can see until Hawaii or whatever. You see some faraway islands, like not just Australia.
So that's when it's clear. When it's like a thunderstorm, you can see the lightning from above, which is also very beautiful. It's really nice up there.
So Have you been up there?
Yeah, I have been, and I had the good luck that when I went up there was the lightning storm, the thunderstorm. That's why I'm mentioning it. Some of the other people there, they were disappointed. They said, "Hey, I wanted to see my house from here." Okay, they couldn't see their house from here, but we could all see the thunderstorm from above.
I've been up there when I was young, but I haven't been there in a while now. I heard they're constantly making changes. Is that?
Tweaks here and there. Like, there's a kiosk that's there for some number of years and it wears down a bit. Okay, they build a nice shiny new kiosk.
Out up there?
Yeah, tastier food, slushier slushies.
Nice. Oh, okay.
Sure, it's you get up the top there, you're a bit thirsty, a bit hungry.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, I can't remember how long it took, but it takes, just imagine.
It's a whole day affair.
It's an escalator going to the atmosphere.
It goes relatively fast, and it is covered, so if there's like rain or whatever, that doesn't slow you down. So that part's good, but it still takes time to get up there.
It's the bit that I like, or seem to remember, is when the escalator passes through the clouds. So it's basically you go up, and at one point, like your view is just white, just wherever
being
you look.
In fog.
Exactly, but if you look down and you look up, then you still see like people on the escalator, but around you there's just white. And at one point you emerge from the clouds, and then it's basically you look on the clouds.
Down upon, and then it feels, especially just for a moment there, the clouds are up to your waist, say, and your head's like peeking above. It feels like you're within. I mean, you are within the cloud, but you really get the sense of it. It's not just a concept.
Is it true that they're building a slide, like a slide down?
That's a rumor. And it sounds magnificent if it ever comes to pass, but as far as I know, it's just a rumour. When I was there was no sign of it, and of it being built, and I haven't read or heard anything about it. It would be amazing, you can imagine, but the velocity that you'd reach going down, and friction burns, it would be amazing. I mean, I guess you'd sit on like a mat of some kind, that would work. Or water, if it was a water slide, although maybe with freezing cold temperatures, maybe not, but... There are all kinds of ways it could be amazing, but unfortunately, I think it's just a rumour.
Or maybe just controlled, with a controlled speed where you can still... Because
like force fields that you're still going really fast, but it keeps it within reason. And especially for most of it, going fast would be okay, just when you're getting toward the bottom, maybe it slows you down.
I can just imagine where you're shooting down to Earth, from really high up, knowing that you're going to slow down by the time you get there. That can be amazing, because at the moment... It's like going up there on the escalator. Yeah. It's nice because you're going to get to the view. And then when you're done, you're going down. It's like...
The down escalator, that takes a while, yeah. And actually, the escalator itself, because it was built a while ago now, it's not made of the same transparent material as the platform. So unfortunately, you look down at your feet, okay, you see metal, like a regular escalator. But now, that's because it was started so long ago. If they do build this rumoured slide, they could use the same material as the platform. That would be pretty fun, to be sliding down... it would be like you're falling through the sky because it's so transparent, the material. They should do it.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm just imagining, what if you're standing at the edge and you drop a bubble gum or something like that? It's like, because it falls down.
I mean, that's a temptation that's too great. So they do have like a mile below the platform. A net, not really. So laser beams, a net of laser beams. Anything falls through them, it gets vaporized.
Ooh.
So anything drops down there, it's not a concern for anything.
Then you should be careful not to fall off yourself.
Most definitely.
Well, that's probably a bad idea anyway, even without the laser beams.
Even without the laser beams, yeah. Or maybe you have a parachute.
Yeah, true enough, yeah. Or jet pants.
Yeah, maybe that's the thing they'll introduce. So right now there isn't that opportunity to skydive off there. Oh. But maybe they introduce it, and then, when you skydive, they open up a little hole in the...
Or bungee jumping.
Net. Wow.
Well, you need a massive...
it depends how far you want to go down, but if you want to go down far enough that you can just with your fingertips touch the water below.
And you bounce back up and you actually go into space.
Right, you would. So you'd probably need some kind of breathing apparatus.
Space bungee jumping. Wow, they should hire us. We have great ideas. Much better than an escalator.
Hey, the escalator had other purposes to start with.
Yeah, true.
And they are improving it, so maybe they'll take on some of these ideas.
Or maybe it's just you need just somebody with a crazy idea and the resilience to do it.
Right, to see it through, like to follow the project through.
Is it true that they're allowing cars to dock there?
So it's been possible for a long time, but not for regular members of the public. That's more for like when they're refilling the kiosk.
Okay.
Like just delivery vehicles.
Okay, smart.
Yeah. No. If you could just drive your car up there, too many people would do that and not even take the escalator.
Yes. Also, I was wondering how could they even do that, because it's like it gets cars can't do out of.
Yeah, not regular cars, right? Like delivery vehicles, they're a bit more specialized.
Yeah.
They can go so high, but regular cars can't.
Okay. So I would say that's for the present. Do we know anything what they're going to do? Like in the future, are they going to expand it, build more things?
Yeah, so we were talking about some rumors and some of our own hopes, but the one big project that was actually intended, like even from the start, was once they had this escalator up there, they were also going to then, as an addition to it, build an elevator.
True.
But, that unfortunately got no sponsors.
Yeah, I remember.
I mean, probably because the escalator, the escalator itself got so close, but didn't actually get to any space station.
And then they said, okay, the escalator didn't work. Let's build an elevator. How about, then we don't need a big stretch of land. That's going to totally work. Never mind the bits that were not working in space. Let's build an elevator. Who wants to sponsor? And then Seoul were like, never mind. And then let's have a contest between countries. And then nobody signed up.
Right.
And then
where the original elevator idea had so many countries competing and really wanting to be a part of it, after they saw how that went, okay, not so much for the elevator.
I wonder now how Indonesia, and specifically Sumatra, is benefiting from all the tourists. Maybe somebody somewhere is still considering it, you know.
Sure.
Maybe they do it in Ecuador, you know. It's the closest bit to the atmosphere that the Earth has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We shall see.
We will find out. Okay. Let's do one more listener question before we...
Yeah, right. We had the one about your descendant at the start.
Yeah.
Let's have another one now. Yeah.
You want to read this one?
Yeah, I can. So this is in response to episode 33, and it's from Helen, and she says, "Hello, I heard this on the 28th of November, 2021. I would love to see a photo of the kangaroos."
2021. Okay, we took our time answering this one.
Hey, yeah, it took us a while. So many emails.
Yeah, and it's also like, it's like they pop up at every kind of time, you know? Like
Right.
Somebody sends it a year later, like we all get them at the same time. You know, they suddenly pop up. We have to check back.
That's it. We have a lot of email to look through.
And also, it's not like, is there a new one just now? We have to check, is there a new one at any point that we didn't see yet? Because somebody may listen to us or stuff in 10 years from where you are now, your listener.
But then in response, thank you, Helen, for emailing us and letting us know that you heard it. It's good news for us that number 33 definitely got back as well. As for a photo of a kangaroo, I mean, we have photos, of course.
They look great.
But we can only send audio back. We don't have a way to send photos.
If only we had a way of...
If only there was some way of combining data with other data, but unfortunately...
Definitely not possible.
You can imagine it. Body of a kangaroo, long neck and head of a giraffe.
Yeah.
Looks really impressive. If we ever find a way to send images back, we'll mention it, but unfortunately we cannot do that now.
Yeah, we'll do our best. Okay. That's it for this week. Thanks for listening, and see you in 200 years.
Bye-bye.